Well, I thought I'd come down and show some of you folks where my woodwork gets cut in my little workshop in the basement. So I'll give you a little bit of a tour. This is just off my entranceway downstairs in the basement. I have a workshop, and there's always something on the go. I better turn on some lights here. And what I have as a safety precaution, when I leave the room, I click off those switches so that a lot of the machinery can't be operated. Then other machinery has its own special switches that I switch off and on, including other ones in the ceiling. So we go into the workshop, all kinds of bits for my routers, my little mini lathe. I don't use that an awful lot, but it's there. And a couple of compressors. One compressor, a smaller one, I was sitting on a orbital sander. And then my one compressor, I have a cable going up, around, and the cable going to there with a control. And this is one of my setup tables. Always got something on the go. I got one here right now. I'm going to cut this particular one, and I'm going to put this on this oak plaque that I've put together. And I think a lot of you have seen some of my bees. I always have patterns ready for different sizes of wood, different types of wood. My workbench here, I can't keep that clean. It just gets so cluttered. I clean it, and before you know it, it's all cluttered up again. Here's a project I started quite some time ago and just put it to the side. Always something on the go. And my thing here for my all of my scroll saw pieces, all in separate containers. I'm buying by the several gross at a time. Right now I'm trying some Swiss-made blades. I still haven't decided whether they're as good or better than the German ones I've been using for years, but I'm trying to give an honest try. My little chop saw here, I don't use that an awful lot, but it comes in handy. And one of my most important tools is my table here for small planer and edging, and a belt sander. That one side flips up 90 degrees. Let's see if I can flip it up to give you an idea. Let's see, everything's locked in here. Yeah, so that flips up 90 degrees. It's a heavy brute, so I'll lock it later. And every machine has its own dust collector system. When I use it, I hook on the dust collector system, and some of my hand sanders, a couple of bags here I take out in the driveway for my routing. When I do hand carving, I just got another router as a spare. I got several routers, but they come in handy. My big brute of a planer, Yeah, oh yeah, this one here is that's the joint. I couldn't think of the name. Always got wood ready to go. Wood down there, and this little section here is all joined up for various projects of carving. Lots of accessories for every machine. As I said, it has its own dust collector system attached. And when I use my big old makes a racket, but you got to have it when you're creating so much dust. It's a handy tool, and the extra vacuums as well. And drill press, you got to have a good decent drill presses. It's always good to have different sizes. And a simple feature that I've used for years is simple magnets on the metal, and I put various sizes of drill bits, rather than trying to rummage through drawers looking for them. And several magnifying glasses and lights. I never used my scroll saw since I started scrolling many years ago. Without that, it lets me get some pretty close encounters to the blade. And I got two scroll saws, two Hegners from Germany, which are pretty well the best on the market as far as I'm concerned. And I have one or two clamps that I use for joining my woods together, and my pipe clamps over there for larger ones. And again, the simple process I use, I just simply put a magnet on the metal table, and then I put the open package of blades. These are the blades that I'm testing right now from Germany, or from Switzerland, and these are ones from Germany that I use. As I said, the jury is still out on that as far as if they're better or as good or what. Just a couple of small drill presses, which is a handy. This is a little flutter wheel. That's a handy little tool to have. Makes it fine sanding. And lots of T-squares. Oh yeah, lots of different things up there, which is one item which is quite handy is a ruler. One is a ruler that well, you got to figure out is the width of the wood, and then if it's say 12 inches on the bottom part of it, you just go where it says 12 inches, and you get exactly halfway every single time. That's a really handy and good one to have. Just hang that up. I don't want to bend that. Lots of little clamps. As I said, I don't cut anything unless I use my magnifying glass. It is quite amazing just how close your fingers can get to that blade, and you can see it so much easier with that. And when I do various projects, I have a little tool here, which I flick on the timer, and it gives me an idea how long it will take to do various projects. My table saw, I did have another table saw the other year. I got rid of that and bought a new one. One of the nicest machines to always use, but they're dangerous. And I got to make a little bit bigger sled. It's really handy. It saves you measuring, and each time you want to square things off, it gives you a 90-degree corner every single time without even measuring. Always use a dust mask. I have several in the shop, and believe it or not, the shop used to have wood piled right to the ceiling everywhere. until a few years ago I started getting vicious and started cleaning it up, giving it away, and it's slowly coming down. Some of my wood pile in the back here, in the far back, it's full of bits and pieces that I've glued together. My other table of various assortments. One of my router tables, I use it constantly. Various types of sanders, a drum sander, various types of sizes of drums. As I said, always have lots of dust masks around. Little belt sanders, a little bit bigger, and of course you gotta have a decent bandsaw. And as I go around here, another sander here, and as I think I mentioned that each sanding system or chipper system has its own dust collector system. You have to have it. Even have one in the ceiling, so when I walk in the room it automatically goes on. So gives you a little bit of a tour on my one shelf here. There's several bits of wood there that I've joined up ready for various projects, and as you go around there's quite a bit more already joined up ready to go. More down there. My table in the corner, there's always all kinds of wood that I've already glued to start carving project later. And you can hear the ceiling exhaust fan always working in here, whether there's machinery on or not. It's lots of fun working a woodworking shop, but it can be dangerous. They can take your fingers off as quick as you can blink, so you got to be extra careful. This is one of the most dangerous machines in the shop. You keep your fingers away from those blades. Bang, you take them off. Funny enough, the machine that I use most is my scrolling machine, of course. That is the safest machine that you can possibly ever use. You have to be rather foolish to even cut yourself a tiny bit. You can get your fingers within a 1/16 of an inch to that blade, and that's how accurate it cuts. So it's lots of fun, but you can't rush. You gotta have a lot of patience. And here's my one exhaust fan that's hooked up to my scroll saw, and I put it on. This makes a racket. So I always wear a head protector as well. As I scan around, a lot of the machinery has its own individual power off and on switches as well, so that can be turned off so no kids can come in here, which I very seldom do anyway, and turn on the machine. And my air compressor from the corner there, I have it hanging up here. I can just use to dust off various projects as I finish sanding them. That's about it, I guess. It's kind of messy right now, but if it's not messy, then you're not doing any work. So I think I have enough wood in here alone to keep me going for another 10 years, if not more. So hopefully, if I'm lucky, I can be around. If not, someone's got some nice machinery. I better lock this machine back down. There. Doing that flipping around. So, kind of clumsy, but gives you an idea of what I do in my little shop here. Always something to do. Never a dull moment. No matter what time of day. You can always come down here. You come down here during the night as well. Even just to lay out something or put some wood together, clamp it up, and ready to go for the next project. I hope I've given some of my fellow woodworkers a few ideas of might make their life a little bit more easier when they do their woodworking. We can always learn from each other. Okay, so I'll call it quits for now. And it's always good time to have a nice cup of tea. So we'll catch you folks later. Bye bye.